What do you consider to be the biggest scam that is completely normalized by society? The 5-day workweek. The easy to join, difficult to cancel subscription model. Detox drinks. Ticketmaster. Fuck Ticketmaster. Companies not disclosing salaries on job listings and encouraging staff not to discuss pay. It only benefits the employer, but everyone goes along with it. The way we buy cars in general, with some exceptions. Printer ink. Every single company that sells printers sells them at a loss. They then make up their profits by making their ink cost an arm and a leg. They even put special chips on each cartridge that will tell the printer not to work if it has been refilled. Coffins. You'll bury me raw. It's not like I'll choke on the soil. I'd be dead beside the trees. Are going to have more nutrients. Funerals. Paying for things like caskets for your loved ones when you're at possibly the most emotionally vulnerable that you could be. The whole thing really. The funeral industry. You have to spend thousands of dollars to get rid of a body because otherwise you're disrespecting it. My parents have told me whatever is the cheapest way to dispose of the body, do that, and then invite the friends to a party to remember us. That's exactly how I feel. Would be happy to donate any organs if they're viable, and or become a medical cadaver, but then just dispose of the corpse as medical waste. If you find this disgusting or disrespectful, that's because preserving a corpse with toxic embalming fluid and then putting it in a concrete vault under the ground has been, as in the question, normalized by society. Edit. I feel like Jake Thackeray about the matter. Extended car warranties. Insulin prices in USA. The majority of plastic recycling in the US. Not only did corporations pass off the burden of dealing with it to the consumer, while they just produce more and more every year. The majority of plastic beyond pop bottles isn't even actually recyclable and will end up being shipped to small South Asian countries where it will be burned. It's a huge scam. Metal and glass recycling still kind of works in some areas, but where fresh water is scarce everything is net negative environmentally speaking, even paper. Thank you for the awards and all, but for real. Please do your best to conserve, reduce, and do what makes sense environmentally for your specific region. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to conserve fresh water. The environmental costs of the impending/upcoming freshwater shortage in parts of the world will far outweigh any impacts from lack of recycling. All this tracking happening with everything on the internet, social networks, ads, our banks, our phones with all those sensors. Everything is tracking us and collects information about us, and they use it in some spooky ways. Either way, I'd be happier if I at least could have more control over it, or even maybe could make money from the data about me myself. When you really see how deep this goes, it kinda feels like something from 1984. Oh, and also the ever-growing attempts of companies to go against ownership and to keep control over everything even after RWE buy it. Job listings where it's written no experience required, but then you keep reading, and they go like 2 years plus experience required to get this job. The idea that employees are obliged to have some kind of loyalty to an employer. The employer has paid for your services. They will drop you like a hotcake if they find someone cheaper. You cannot question that. Yet, if an employee shows the slightest bit of disloyalty, then, bang, asterisk. It is not about the double standard of it. It is that employers dismissing employees is seen as normal, but employees dismissing employers is an outrage. That is the bit that is normalized. The entire concept of tax season. There is no reason as individuals we need to jump through all these hoops, and in some cases, pay exorbitant fees to have someone do our personal income tax filings. The gov already knows the exact amount you owe. So why do we do it this way? Companies like TurboTax and lobbying groups representing tax lawyers have argued for years that we Americans prefer doing our taxes this way, and that it's better for society when they, tax companies, can charge citizens for it. Seriously, it's a total racket. Having to calculate our own taxes as US citizens. Freemium. The fact that there's a word for it shows just how much we've normalized it. Everyone hates it, but it's still a fact of life now. It's reached the point where I don't even bother downloading new apps half the time if they say in-app purchases, because half of them are unusable without a subscription. When did it become not good enough to just outright buy a product and be able to use it? Amway. I scrolled down pretty far and didn't see televangelists. They scam older people by promising healing if you send them all your money, and it's totally legal. They say they can heal cancer, everything. So fucking disgusting. The $130 a photography company is requesting of me to release the 4 electronic photos they took of me during my university graduation procession. Diamond engagement / wedding rings. I haven't seen this so far. Payday loans. Unconscionable bullshit designed to suck wealth out of the people who cannot afford to lose it, who would thrive, have spent that money anyway on something worthwhile for their families that would improve their lives and potentially provide for the livelihood of others in their community. If a payday loan places in a community, it is literally putting tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into the hands of very rich people who are definitely not spending that money at the corner store. It's even worse in the UK. The US has a cap on how high a monthly loan can be, like 500% IIC, which is still terrible, but in the UK there was a company putting people in hock to the tune of 5,000%. If you get a career in what you love, you won't work a day in your life. Bullshit. Funerary services. Seriously. The person is dead. They really don't care how nice their casket is. Stop letting people use your emotions and your religious beliefs against you. Being trendy. Fast fashion. People buy unnecessary clothes just to keep up with the trend. It's totally fine if you wear old clothes for years. Diamonds. Unpaid internships. Especially when you do free work for a company that can well afford to pay you. Weddings and funerals. I know this is the low-hanging fruit, but college for a solid 50% of people. TV licensing in the UK. If you don't have one, you'll receive multiple threatening letters intimating that you are illegally watching shows and someone will sue to inspect your property. People either relent and purchase a license they don't need, or have to declare they don't need a license, which means you'll be harassed further down the line. They're awful people who cause genuine distress with their evocative literature and bullying tactics, yet because they're employed by the BBC, it's just ignored. 100% hoers. I pay for my house then pay some Karen money for her to tell me I can't do whatever I want to my house. Ridiculous. US health insurance and medical billing. Bottled water, except in Flint. Edit. I guess I'm very lucky to live in a place where I can put tap water in a container and drink it on the go. I think I should have qualified my response to say, as a basic necessity of life, people should not have to pay for drinking water. I deserve the comments, most of them. Insurance. Insurance companies take our money every month and deny every claim filed. Monetary fines aren't proportional to your wealth. Naked short selling and resetting FTDs and rehypothecation and spoofing and offshore exploitation and illegal share locating contracts and MSM corruption and tax evasion and bribery of politicians / regulatory bodies via fees and market manipulation through dark pooling and perjury to Congress and sending moderators / bury death threats and killing journalists in Cayman. A less serious one. Pancake mix that you still have to add the milk and eggs to, then it's just flour but more expensive.